You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show with the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, but we got a good amount of callers. We got, 11 to get through? It's manageable, but I have to shut up quite a bit. So let's get started with Trevor in Virginia.
Hey, Ryan, Trevor in Virginia. Listening to the latest podcast right now, and you're going over all the stats about how to start first 9 weeks. Jordan Love, under pressure, win blitz, all that. He was, pretty terrible. And how much better it is now. And I just think this directly attributes to the injuries. Like, before the bye, right the week or two before the bye, I think he was starting to finally move better. But a lot of those weeks he was playing, he could not move at all. So if you blitz him, and there's a free rusher, he's not going to get away. You have to take a sack and throw it away. And so your completion percentage goes down. There's no eluding. We saw him try to get on the horse a few times, and he just gets dragged down from behind because he had no agility. So I don't know. I think that's just what we can attribute that to. I mean, there's no way to know for sure, right? So, but who knows? I'm really hoping we can see it continue this way and then, not have to deal with an injury in week 1 next year. But for now, I just really hope we beat the Seahawks. I know 49ers, Cowboys, there's a lot of teams people hate. I just hate the Seahawks. I don't know. All those times with Rodgers, we lost to Russell Wilson, and I still have never thought Russell Wilson was a very good quarterback. I think he got bailed out by his receivers time and time again. He just throws these freaking moon balls. And
he was good in space.
The defenders forget how to play football, and the receivers would catch him. I've never got it. Never got the Russell Wilson thing. So, and he's not there anymore. But I still now it just makes me not like the Seahawks, especially 2014. Think about that probably at least once a week. Terrible year. Terrible. Anyway, screw them. Take care of business. We need to get that silent count straightened out. I think stop using the whole play clock because, they can just jump our snap. I've always wondered that. It's we use the whole play clock all the time. You get down to those last couple seconds, you're giving the edge rushers in the line an advantage of being able to get the pressure on you. So, but anyway, go back, go.
As you were talking, I was just going through. I wanted to look week by week. It's very easy to just attribute it to the injury. That could very well be it. It could just be some changes that they made. Could be a combination of both. Just like the offensive line issue, there are things that you recognize as an issue, and you have to. That's the whole point of watching the tape. I mean, I think for me and probably a lot of people, we think about it as you just going back and watching the plays and grading the guys, and then coming up with new plays or whatever. But a lot of it is finding out things that are not working, why it's not working, and how we can make adjustments to make it work, right? And with Jordan, it was probably a level of exploitation, right? He was exploited based on this, that, or the other, or Jordan wasn't seeing things or whatever. And, it could have been a tweak that they made, could have been Jordan just getting more confident or calming down or whatever the case may be. I don't know. It's not perfectly linear. He was terrible against the blitz every game. It was the Cardinals game was kind of his last. That's where you draw the line. That was week 6. So week 6 and before, every game except one, he struggled with the blitz. There was one game, though, he was perfectly fine. I don't remember which one. After week 6, and again, week 6 is a little weird, but I guess I give him less credit as far as how long that injury lingered. I mean, I know for a fact, we all saw against Minnesota. I was a little iffy about LA. He did start limping, though, so maybe. And plus, if you just don't trust it, that can be a problem. Week 6, though, I did not see him as being injured, but still, there could be an issue as far as not trusting your leg or whatever. But anyways, after that, week 7, he was adequate to great all the way through with the exception of the first Detroit game where he was really bad against the blitz. So, again, it's not perfect, but it's pretty relatively clear. I mean, you figure weeks 1 through 6 minus 2 games can be a little bit iffy there as far as sample size, but still, you got all bad except one, and then on the other side, you got all good except one. So one way or whatever it is, I feel good about it. As far as hating the Seahawks, I used to. I think we all did. You know, it was a huge battle. I mean, back in the Legion of Boom days, that was an incredibly good team. They were similar to San Francisco in that they were violent. They talked a lot. I mean, you got Richard Sherman and those guys getting in your face 24/7. I forget exactly who it was. I don't know if it was Devontae or if it was back in the Jordy days or what, but it was kind of like he always stayed on one side and he locked down that side, and people just wouldn't pass that way, and it was kind of a question of, is Rodgers really not going to throw that direction? Is he just going to allow that to get shut down? And he did. He didn't throw that way except I think one time, and Sherman batted it away. So it was just a real big, like, in your face, like, you're not that good, screw you guys kind of thing. It was bad. It was rough. I know we got the bad side of that. They hurt us in the playoffs. It was kind of back and forth. I remember for a while there toward the end of their tenure, it was kind of every other. If we played on their turf, we lost. If they played in Green Bay, we won. And then it got to a point where we just win every time. We're like, I don't know, 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 in our last several meetings. Some of that hatred has certainly gone away, especially since, you know, I don't necessarily hate them for the Fail Mary thing. It's not something that they did. It was just that they got lucky. I know you mentioned that some people were bragging about it. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if I ever said this on the podcast before or not. I probably have. One of the more historic things that gets mentioned over and over again, I didn't see it. And it's maybe part of the reason too why I wasn't as upset about that game is I actually walked away because it was so bad, and I knew we were going to lose that game. It was so frustrating. I said, screw this, and I just walked away. I'm like, we're going to lose. But of course, I pulled up the little game tracker thing, and sure enough, I just watched as the Seahawks marched right down the field. I'm like, yep, there we go. And then I see touchdown. I'm like, yep, I knew it. I didn't find out about the controversy until probably the next day that it was stolen from us or whatever. But even that, it took some of it out of it just because it's like, we sucked in that game. You know, like we had it, and then we started losing. And you just get that feeling like it's just gonna be over. And I get that we should have won. It was a bad call, whatever. But I was so disgusted with how bad that game was going. It's one of the few that I actually completely walked away from, even though, of course, I had to watch it on the little tracker. But still, I was like, I'm done. I'm not watching this freaking game anymore. So that one did not sting as much as most Packer fans because I'm probably the only one that just refused to watch it because I was just pissed. And part of that was because I did hate the Seattle Seahawks. I just did. But a lot of that is wore off. Same with like Dallas. A lot of Packer fans have never let that go. It's like, bro, that hasn't been a rivalry since like 98. Like, I'm sorry. I just don't care about them anymore. I'm a very forgiving person. I can let stuff go. You know what I mean? Seattle's just kind of over there doing their own thing. They recognize what they are and what they're not, and they haven't really talked trash about us in a while. I'm sure it can come back. We'll see what happens. I don't know if that this was like pre-Twitter days, at least for me. I wasn't on Twitter, so I wasn't interacting with anybody. Maybe their fans are a bunch of scumbags, and it would have made it a lot worse if I had. I don't know. The only thing I know was really annoying about Seattle was that was one of the ones where the stadium was just always empty. There's no such thing as a Seahawks fan. It was just a place to house the visiting fans when they came to come check out the game where they were going to beat the Seahawks. They were the worst fan base. It was just like you have with like Jacksonville and the Chargers and stuff. Like, they don't have fans. And then they started playing well, and they're the 12th man. Like, we're the greatest fan base. We're so loud, and it's like, bro, you can't just come out and pretend to be like this great fan base now. Like, oh, this is the toughest environment because of the fans. And I get that that's true, but it's also just like this. That just pisses me off, man. Bunch of freaking phonies. It's all you are. Anyways, I said we have to hurry, and I'm rambling.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny here.
What's up?
Just listening to this episode here, Packernet After Dark, and I heard a caller call in Ben from Stockville. That's crazy, because I think I know exactly who that is, because it sounds like a dude named Ben from Stockville, because I'm from Stockville, Wisconsin, originally, before I moved to South Carolina. And Ben, if you're hearing this, bro, I think think it's you, dude. I went to high school with you, man. So shout out to Ben, bro. First time I heard him calling in. But anyways, I'm on my way to work here. I'm late because I had to drop off my son to daycare. But you know what? I think a lot of the things that happen in the Lions game, it'll be good for us. And hopefully going forward, we learn from our mistakes. We make the adjustments. And then we see those adjustments. And so I'm hoping that we can just have a solid game, man. I don't think we can clinch with this win. I think the 49ers and Rams needed the tie, which would have been funny. And the Falcons need to lose, but let's just win, man. And, you know, I was thinking about this, and this was mentioned by Aaron. Teams of the past, we used to, like, have so much hype and stuff, and, like, we would look so good in the regular season, and then we would just crumble in the playoffs. Like, to me, like, I don't know. This team seems to be very competitive, and people want to say, you can't beat the real teams or whatever. You can't beat the good. Well, okay, well, we barely lost. So it's not like, you know, we got blown out by them or whatever. Like, because, like, if a couple things here or there go our way, or if we, like, don't make a couple, if we subtract, like, a couple mistakes, like, we're better than all of those teams. So, listen, Brian, I've been real negative about the Packers, okay? And, like, I have a problem with sports, especially when it comes to, like, Milwaukee Brewers. I'm very negative, dude. And it's really a problem. And I'm going to try to be better. I'm going to try to be more positive. I know you don't want to hear me freaking bitching and moaning on the podcast here, but I'm just going to try to keep an open mind and just look at the positive and not stress myself out so much, okay? And by the way, I love you all. Go Pack Go.
Well, let me just clarify. I've been coming down on the negative fans a lot. I have no issue with negativity. I feel like a lot of the negativity is incorrect, is the biggest issue that I have. And that makes sense because it tends to be emotional. That's why I'm very emotionally negative to begin with. So I think that's the conflict. I'm not asking you to just be all sunshine and rainbows. That's not really the point. If there's something negative, you can say something negative. And I've said this before. I think sometimes we overemphasize the negative and just refuse to acknowledge the positive side of the same coin or whatever. And obviously positive fans can do that too. But, you know, when you lose, it's going to be the negative fans that are coming out a little bit heavy. And I've been kind of pushing back against that a little bit and trying to show some of the brighter side and at least tamp it down a little because it can get a little out of control. But I'm absolutely not saying that, you know, if you're going to call in here, I want you to be positive and sunshine and rainbows. I don't know. I think if it's a little overly negative, and I think if it's too far in that direction, I'm going to have to course correct. And that's probably true in the other direction as well. Although, I don't know, sometimes people are just having a good time. I try not to just be overly, the well, actually type of person. You know, if I can just let it go, I will. But that's all I was been doing is tamping down the negative because there has been quite a bit, and it's been in different directions. I mean, it could be the Jair thing. It could be a lot of different things where it's like, I understand a reason for frustration. I don't think it's being applied properly, if that makes sense. But, and I'm not even necessarily talking about you because I don't remember. I know you were ticked like everybody else. I don't remember the exact points or whatever that you were making, but please don't just think you have to be positive all the time. All right. If you maybe take a couple breaths and contemplate before you call in, or just do it and just call in pissed. And if I get to the show early enough, like it's a late game like this one, I'm probably just going to agree with all the negative people because I'm going to be a state of being pissed. If it's a noon game and everybody calls in at, 2:00 and they're pissed and I have all day to calm down and I don't record until the next day, then I probably have to tamp it down a little bit.
Hey, Ryan, before I get to work, I'm almost to work, dude. I'm almost making it. I'm late. I'm already 7 minutes late.
That's not good.
But it's okay. My boss is cool.
Good.
I wanted to say something I noticed between Love and Rodgers. So in the past, Rodgers it would be like he would pass to somebody. If they didn't catch the ball, he would never throw to them, and it would kind of limit our offense. For me, I feel like Love, like he gives guys second chances and third chances and whatnot, and it helps, you know. And also, I noticed that Love doesn't like kind of throw a fit and stuff. Like he's just chill and calm, cool, and collected. Like nothing phases him, and I feel like that helps because it doesn't bring the team down. And so I really like Love's attitude, and I see that he has such potential. And we saw it last year too. Like he can be so good. So I mean, you just hope that this stretch here we could just have amazing football from him. And I believe in Love. I believe he's our guy. And yeah, dude. So looking forward to Sunday night. It'll be nice because we can just, you know, relax. I can watch Red Zone and then wait till Sunday night, man. And it's gonna be my first game where I don't drink any beer or anything. So I guess I'll watch it from a different lens. I guess a sober lens. Anyways, go Packer. I love you.
You don't have to be positive, but you do have to stop saying "I love you." That is the one rule that I'm going to officially implement on this show. You are not allowed to love me. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to a great performance from the Packers on Sunday night. I'm looking forward to having a good day, having a good time recording the podcast, and hopefully getting some more optimistic and fun kind of calls. But why don't we take a break? We'll come back and hear from Aaron.
Ryan, this is Aaron. I just wanted to call in about a couple of things that I've heard on the pod and Packernet After Dark. Anyways, first and foremost, Yellowstone. I've tried watching it. I've had several people try to get me to rewatch it again. I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes. I'm sorry, I can't get over the horrible acting, the bad writing. I can't do it. As an actor, I look at that and I'm like, what am I watching? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get the big love for it. I think the acting is bad. I think the story is, from what I've seen, is just putrid. It's one of those, I don't actively hate against shows, but Yellowstone is one of them. So if it's up to me, Ryan, you're totally good not watching Yellowstone.
Good. Thank you for your permission, because I don't want to watch it.
Anyways, but what I was saying, back to Packers content. So here's the thing. The Packers are sitting, at 9-4, playing really good football right now. And if it wasn't for a few unfortunate circumstances beyond our control in the Lions game, we easily win that game pretty much in one half. So here's my thing, okay? You know, the Bears have sucked for most of the season, but they've got so much recognition, and they're like, everyone's like, oh, the Bears are so good. They have such a good future. Yay. We have Caleb Williams. Yay. Everything's great here on Candy Mountain of Chicago. But the Packers, right? They're actually a really good football team. And everybody, including our own fan base, that is the part that pisses me off. Everybody, including a large part of our fan base, is just irate about how the team is. They're so mad about it, and it's just like, dude. And Titletown is a real thing. Like, it's just this team is a good team. Do you know how close we are to being at, like, closer to undefeated right now? If we'd had Brandon McManus for the beginning parts of the year, like, we don't lose a couple of the games because of field goals, and we get put into a much better situation. But it's just the same people. There's people that act like the Bears are going to be great and the Bears are like have such a great future while hating on the Packers.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, what? The Packers haven't fallen off at all. They're picking it up. Like, yeah. Anyways, I've hit the 3 minutes,
So let's continue. I appreciate the giving me permission to not watch it. We get enough shows. We have plenty of shows to watch. We got a bunch of hoarders to catch up on. We got some nonsense shows. watch all the terrible marriage shows so we can feel really good about ours, like give marriage advice to people. Like, was it Married at First Sight? Just a ridiculous show. Like two strangers. You know how hard marriage is, dude? Like when you first get together with somebody. And then you got people who have never even spent a second. Those marriages don't work for a reason. But it's funny just watching. It's like, you guys suck. 90-Day Fiance, people just fly off to marry somebody that they met online. They think that they're in love. And it's like, yeah, it's because you've never been with that person in person. You know how much more that sucks? It's so easy to have a long-distance relationship when you're texting. It's the easiest thing in the world because you just do what you want when you want all the time. Can't do that in person. You know what I mean? So watch a lot of that garbage. Some Ramsey shows and that kind of stuff. We'll just stick to that. Stick to the reality. 1,000 Pound Sisters. It's a very good show. I don't know why I like that one so much, but I do. It's a funny family. When I'm by myself, those aren't the shows that I watch. But for me and my wife, we've kind of found a niche where we both enjoy those kinds of things. I'm sitting here watching Breaking Bad for like the fourth time because it's just one of those things you go through and it's like, should I watch this thing? Should I watch that? Should I just watch this again because I know it's going to be really good? Yeah, I think I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to do it again because it's good. I'm just going to do it again. And I might run all the way through, do all the Breaking Bads. And then, by the way, there's a new Office for the, what do you call it? Bonus episode thing that's on Peacock. If you subscribe to that, they've been releasing new seasons of like bonus scenes that you've never seen before. Season 8 is now released. So the next year will be season 9 and that'll be the end of it. But very, 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 very excited about that. So all new scenes that I've never seen. The best scenes in all of The Office have been on these bonus scenes. Just stuff that it's like, why would you cut that out? You're so stupid. Doing Peacock ads over here. But go through that and then the one with the lawyer and the El Camino and just do it up, man. Just live the dream, man. Anyways, part 2. Aaron, please continue.
At that, I did end up calling back. Hey, Ryan, this is Aaron again.
Hey.
How are you since my last call? It's been about 10 minutes. Hopefully everything's still good. If everything was good in the last month. Anyways, enough with the intro. So, on the topic of Jordan Love that I'm thinking about, right? All season, there's been a lot of fans, like, this is kind of how it's been even last year, too, that only see the interceptions, right? Like, they're like, if it's an interception, bad, right? But then if you have all the good stuff that Jordan Love does, they just when he was leading the league in touchdowns or second in touchdowns at the beginning of the season. Those same fans that only see the interceptions, when they see the good, they're like, no, I don't want to hear that. No, just closing my ears, closing my eyes. I don't know why my interpretation of those fans is like Gru, or like a weird variant of Gru.
Sure.
But, I mean, it's just, they only see the bad, only see the negative, right? And even within that negative, there's no like nuance of like drop balls or whatever. Or, like Musgrave literally caused 2 picks earlier in the year. Luke Musgrave did, but nobody said but everyone likes to be like, oh, that's all on Jordan Love. And it's just like, but then as soon as any good thing happens, they just shrug it off as if it's expected and if that's just what they're.
Well, and that's the point that I've been making is I think a lot of us have sort of like the good is what you expect. Like that's what you're supposed to do. And the bad is like you are a complete idiot. And the problem is it gives you a perspective of the team only being bad because everything good is just what you're supposed to do. Like if they get a touchdown, it's like a relief. Like, oh, finally, geez, they got in. And everything else is just bad. It gives you a very negative feel. And that's how we end up thinking that bad teams are better than the Packers because you look at other teams and you're like, oh, man, they got this player and this player. They're really good. And what do we got? What do we have? We got this guy with the drop issues. And we got – because you know all the super negative things about the team. You don't know the super negative things about other teams. Because why would you? You think like what? Trying to think who's like a comparable team. Like the Seahawks, I guess. You think Seahawks fans are just going to like jump over to you and be like, oh, guess what frickin' DK's been doing? You want to hear all about it? No, you don't, and you're not going to hear it. All you're going to see are the highlights, and they're doing great, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and look at that, oh. That's why all the negative fans every single week say, we're not going to win this game. We're not going to win this game. Of course you think that. That makes sense that you think that, because you think everybody else is just good. This is the reason why Gutekunst is terrible. Well, look at all the misses. Okay, how about every other team's misses? Do you care about that? Because if you're setting a standard that is unrealistic based on all of human history, you're never going to be happy. You have to learn to set a baseline of what you should be expecting. This is why I've said before too, watch other teams. It's funny, I forgot who it was. I think it was Brooke. Right after I said, watch another team and pretend it's the Packers. And she ended up doing that for the Vikings, and the Vikings just dominated a team. It's okay, well, that doesn't count. Usually that doesn't happen, but watch other teams with the same level of critical thinking that you do with the Packers, and you're gonna understand. That's why you can watch other games and it doesn't feel like this team sucks, because you don't have that emotional attachment to it. If somebody on another team drops a pass, it's okay. He dropped it. It's just sort of a thing that how hard it registers in your brain. Somebody else drops a pass, you don't think anything of it. If Christian Watson drops a pass, call him! Just saying, just try it. Pick another game. We got the late game. Watch a different game. Be a Bears fan this week. Watch the Bears and pretend that it's your favorite team, that their quarterback is Jordan, their receivers are our receivers. Just do it.
What the expectation is. Jordan Love at his best, literally last year was better than prime Aaron Rodgers. He's playing pretty dang well again. Mm-hmm. And so it's just I'm not trying to be a positive fan that just shrugs off all the picks, because, the picks were bad. But guess what? He's also a great quarterback. I don't know. That it's just the duality of fandom is so interesting to me. There should be a PhD study on.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I just said.
How certain fans choose to be positive or negative, or just I don't know. Is that how they live their lives beyond football? Just seeing the negative in everything, or is it I don't know. Anyways, I hope you have a great day. Go Pack, go. The Niners and Seahawks, not Niners and Seahawks. The Niners and Rams didn't tie last night, so yeah, we can't clinch. But it was a garbage game anyway, so they may as well have tied. It was pretty close to tying, to be honest. But anyways, peace out. A down.
Was it peace up, A-town down? I'm just saying, it would be my worst episode. It would be my worst, and I would lose people people that are already on the fence. I don't know about this freaking Packernet guy. I would lose them for good. That's it. But I'm so tempted to just gather Team AI, gather all the robots together, and say, let's do this. Let's do a freaking study on the psychology of this stuff. Because part of it too, obviously, wouldn't want to actually do a whole episode on it, but just being able to better articulate what the heck I'm talking about. I spend a lot of time rambling on a point because I feel like I'm not quite hammering it properly, and I over-explain everything. Be better to just speak more articulately. Is that a thing? On the issue and discuss why things are happening, This is what's happening in your stupid brain, and this is logically why it's incorrect, and this is what happens, and there you go. Fixed it. Boom. But I can't do that because I don't know the words that go in those spaces there. So, Garrett, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan. This is Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Sure is.
We haven't played Seattle yet, but I'm already to that point where it's okay, it's Sunday night game. But we have to wait quite a while before that game even gets played. And there are some really, really good games leading up to that. And definitely teams we want to root for to lose. But I want to talk about something else other than the Seattle game.
Okay.
I want to talk about tipping. It's that time of year where people to go above and beyond and reward those people who work really hard at doing stuff that doesn't usually get noticed.
Okay.
So remember to tip your trash man remember to tip those who are blue collar that are doing things that
You can say mailman.
don't usually get rewarded very much. And, I know this is a point of contention in the past with you, Ryan. That's why I bring it up, because I love doing that kind of stuff and getting your blood pressure up. So, but seriously, tip your mailman, people. We're breaking our backs out here. We're walking in rain, sleet, snow, walking through your dog crap in your yard, putting up with 50 packages that your wife orders from Ipsy. So come on now. Tip the guy, because he deserves it. And
I'm not going to lie. The amount of things that can be delivered these days, this is going to be actually quite hilarious. The amount of things that are delivered is ridiculous. I can have basically anything and everything delivered to my door. I don't have to do anything anymore. There are very few things that I actually have to get up and go out and go get. And it's not even like the cost is like, you can go to the store on principle, or you can spend like $2 a month and we'll just send it to you and you can like drop a little tip on top and otherwise it's fine. How is your time not worth that? That's crazy. So of course I'm going to do that. Beyond that though, some of the stuff is pretty heavy and I kind of feel bad. Like are you sure? Like I can buy that? So as you're talking, it just dawned on me as soon as you called in, because it's like, oh, we got, I want to make pork belly tomorrow for the Packer game. I just got it out of the freezer. I got to thaw it, all that stuff. I realized I don't know if we have charcoal. So I'm looking on Amazon and to see if I can get charcoal here tomorrow, which is ridiculous, but I probably can. And some of these things are freaking heavy. So absolutely, it's one of those things too where it's like charcoal or something else. They'll be sitting by my door and it's like, kind of feel bad. But also, I don't know, your employer said that you have to do it, so I guess you have to do it. But it is funny you mentioned like breaking your back, lifting stuff, and I'm looking at like 35-pound bags of Jealous Devil charcoal or something. Like, yeah, that's a good point. I should probably tip them. By the way, we do. I don't want to say I'm anti-tip, but it's just like tipping has always been like a certain thing, and all of a sudden like we have to tip everything. Like tipping culture has expanded, and it's become like this big. How about screw you? How about that? I'm going to come pick up my food and I have to tip you for what? Like, I'll tip the guy that drove to my house to bring me the pizza so that I don't have to drive there to pick it up. You're telling me if I drive there to pick it up, I still have to give you a tip? F you. But yes, the person that delivers my mail every single day, and I don't even see it as a tip, it's a Christmas gift. It's a Christmas bonus. You put a little card in there with some money, or, the kids sometimes will put like little snacks in the mailbox or something with a little note for the mail lady. She's a nice lady. Stuff like that. I think being generous on Christmas time is fine, but tipping is a different conversation, and I will not tip stupid nonsense that just suddenly we decide it has to be done. Why do I have to tip you? Because you think, like a waitress, I'm going to sit here, you're going to serve me the entire time. You're going to wait on me, hand and foot. That's why it's server and waiter. You're going to serve me and wait on me. Oh, hostess, more water, please. Come pour my water. Yeah, you're going to get a tip. So I can sit here, you bring my food, the cook probably should get a tip too. I think usually they get like a piece of the tip. I don't know how that works, but they should. Cook my food, bring it to me, set it before me, bring me everything. Oh, I need this. Bring me this. I would like a refill of this. I get it. The person who sits at the frickin' cash register and somebody else makes my food and they grab it and they go, is this yours? I got to give you $5? Never. You can keep it. I don't want the food anymore.
we don't get freaking bonuses, people. We don't. We're out here delivering packages before the sun comes up, and we're delivering packages before the sun goes down. So, yeah, I think I can speak for myself, Joe the janitor, Trucker Bob, people who are keeping this country moving. Do the right thing, people. Make this a Merry Christmas for people. I'm out.
By the way, my wife's family is somewhat of a mail carrier family. Her mom, mail carrier for many, many years, driving in the wintry, blizzardy snow with no heat in her mail truck just psychotic stuff, what they have to put up with. Good old government taking care of its people. And her uncle was delivering mail in a hurricane, because even during a hurricane, apparently, you are required to go out and do your job, which I think is freaking crazy. But yes, the mail carriers put up with some crap, and it doesn't sound like their leadership is very willing to be flexible on anything. You will do your job. I don't care. I don't want excuses. And they do their job. They do a good job. Get your mail like same time every day. At least it used to be that way. Maybe it's not anymore. I just remember it used to be like at my grandparents' house, it'd be like, oh, it's 5:07. Mail should be here. And you start walking to the mailbox, and sure enough, they come pulling up. Like it was, boom, it was on time. I don't know. Maybe it depends where you live. But yeah, man, don't forget about the old mail people and whatnot. And, you know, you get an Amazon driver too. I mean, I'm sorry, mailman. But I mean, you're being surpassed by the Amazon people, because you guys show up once a day. We got Amazon delivery people showing up like 3 times a day. So, I'm probably saying things you don't want to hear. Well, let's take a break, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to go. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan from Virginia.
What's up?
Hopefully we stomp the Seahawks this weekend.
Hopefully.
But I just wanted to jump in on the Lions talk. Do you know what year the Lions joined this conference, this division? It was 1967. And since then, they have won the division 4 times. This will be their 5th time winning the division.
That's crazy.
What is that? Over 50 years? And you winning it for the 5th time? In my lifetime, the Lions can never talk trash because they suck.
Because they are trash.
They've always sucked. I don't really hate the Lions like everybody else seems to. I don't know. I mean, I don't like them, obviously, but I don't have this disdain. But, you know, just so, it's a 5th time. I mean, Rodgers won it individually more times than that, I would bet. I would bet Favre won it individually more times than that. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Go back in.
It's very true. I think at some point they're going to be able to talk, though. I mean, when it's, you know, yeah, it's only 5 times, but 2 of those times have been in the last 2 years, and then we're going to do it again next time. And then, you know, you start throwing some Super Bowl appearance in there. You, God forbid, throw a Super Bowl win in there. I mean, we can tell them they can't talk, but they're going to talk. And I don't know. I don't know what to say other than they probably can talk. Peter, this is 5 seconds, so this one might not come through, but we got a second Peter here. No. All right. Peter, part 2-ish.
Ryan, it's Peter Thomas from Milwaukee.
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, long time no calling.
Yeah.
I just saw that Devondre Campbell.
By the way, I just realized it's like a year since we went to that. You got me the Christmas tickets for my family. We went to one of the coolest things I'm not kidding. It was awesome. It was a Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, who actually did the symphonic music to Back to the Future. And it was just done perfectly to the point where you kind of forget that there's a symphony there and that the music is actually live and not because it was so perfectly synced up and like the volume was perfect and everything. Very, very cool. And I should check and see. Are you guys doing that again? Let me know if you're doing it again. I'm not asking for free tickets, but that was such a fun time. I might actually spring for that because I don't know. Let me know. I'll look it up. I'll figure it out.
Suited up up on Monday night, suited up, and then completely disrespected the team.
Yep.
By refusing to play. What an absolute freaking moron. What a douche. What, he's better than Dre Greenlaw? At least that's what he thinks.
Yep.
What a narcissistic piece of crap. You know, kudos to the Packers for always getting rid of people at the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy was a cancer, and I think we all know it. He also just sealed his entire grave for his NFL career.
Oh, he's done. He's done.
Who is going to, in their right mind, pick him up next year? Because he's getting cut.
Yeah.
If anybody did that, this is why it's so unprecedented. Nobody does this. That's why Kyle Shanahan was even questioning. He's never seen this before.
Yep.
In the history of him playing and coaching football, he's never seen somebody suit up and then refuse to go on the field. What a frickin' moron. Anyways, Just thought that was hilarious. Go Pack.
Seeing the hometown holiday pops bring the entire family to the Bradley Symphony Center, the Milwaukee favorite holiday tradition, celebrate the season, musical jubilee of cherished classics, Yuletide carols, and festive sing-alongs with your one and only orchestra. That sounds pretty dope. And then there's a Harry Potter thing you got going on. Sounds like this is not a Harry Potter guy, but could be cool. I would just encourage. By the way, 100% agree. I've talked about that before. The guy's a freaking. It just, there are some GMs that are just smirking right now. They're just having a day, and Brian Gutekunst has been that for the last couple of years. I mean, he is just sitting there giggling because he's done some stuff and he's been criticized and he's been screwed, and everybody that criticized him, you can't help but look and just go, yeah, dude, you were the freaking problem. The other one is Kwesi up in Minnesota. Hate to admit it, but you're looking at Kirk Cousins played great for Minnesota. They decide to finally move on from Kirk. That guy just implodes. He is awful. And then they bring in Sam Darnold. Everybody said that was stupid. He's playing like the best in football. The coach that they have, the defensive coordinator, which was a controversial pick because of all his stuff, that seemed like a great pickup. There was a lot of questions about Kwesi, even by Vikings fans, and now he's sitting back just giggling to himself. So, the Gutekunst is feeling just fine right now, especially with, Quay starting to play a little better. Edgerrin looks like a good pickup. I'm still excited to see Tyron Hopper. I know it's not going to be a this year thing pending injuries, but I don't know, man. I think there might be at least a little something there. Maybe you can get kind of a, granted, he was, a third-round pick, so I guess you should expect more than that, but I'm just blanking on our own guys. But you know what I mean? The guys that are contributors that are maybe not the best in the world. McDuffie, for crying out loud, McDuffie. At least get some that kind of a level thing out of it. But I'm hoping by next year we start to see more of them. We probably won't have all the linebackers that we currently have, and I would be happy if we could have a Quay and Edgerrin and Tyron Hopper linebacker core while Devondre Campbell, who thinks he's better than everybody, sits at home because he is absolutely. I mean, there's no way. I mean, there's always a way because some of the dumbest decisions you'll ever see happen in football organizations. But I can't imagine it's suicide. You can't bring a guy like that into a locker room. Players don't want to play with him. He's quit on team. I mean, coaches aren't going to want to play or coach the guy. You're going to give up somebody's spot for him? No. Yeah, I think he's done. I think it's done. But anyways, absolutely encourage anybody if you're in the Milwaukee area or whatever, check out the symphonies, or whatever symphony. If you're Chicago or somewhere out in California or whatever, I'm sure that you all got tons of symphonies. Check out what they got going on because they got some cool stuff for sure. Daniel, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan, Daniel from California. Says these guys won't give their breakdown on how to deal with Jair if hypothetically they got rid of him. I don't think we should, but here's what my plan would be if for some reason they had to.
Sure.
He walks in the off season, you target Rasul Douglas, and you offer him a 3-year contract. The first year basically all guaranteed, and you can cut bait after. From there, you draft 3 corners and make sure you keep Keyshawn around, but that's kind of how I would approach it. But I don't know. I think Jair's fine. But even with all that, if we got Rasul back and then drafted a corner, like that could be the fix right there. If we just brought Rasul back home, Rasul's probably commanding about $15 million a year if we gave him 16. The first year fully guaranteed, and then spread it out the other 2 years. It could work, but who knows? Got to see. We got to pay a bunch of guys, so probably can't make it happen. But if I was getting rid of a big contract, that's what I would do. But that's all I got. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would remove Rasul from the equation. I've made my opinion on Rasul pretty clear. I think he's overrated right now in Buffalo. I think. Last year he had a couple flash plays or whatever that everybody got excited about, multiple interception games, and again, that's all you see over here. You don't see the bad games or anything because it just goes dark, so you just assume he's good all the time. He wasn't super great. I mean, he graded out fine. Most of that was Green Bay, whatever. But this year, you're seeing more of it. He really dropped off. Worst NFL passer rating when targeted of his career by a lot. He's only had 2 seasons where it was over 100. He had 101.3 and 106.8, and that was back in 2019 and 2020. He's at 124.1. 446 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 pass breakups, 59 coverage grade, which is the second worst of his career. He's going to be 30 years old next year, and he's hurt right now. So I don't know the extent of his injury history, but it's hard to make the case that we should dump Jair, get a 30-year-old guy who's coming off an injury. Maybe that's overstating it, but, whatever, and has clearly begun to decline as a football player. With that said, I understand generally if we're desperate to move off of him, which I don't understand the desperation unless you have somebody offering you compensation that actually makes sense. Like if somebody were offering a first-round pick for him, we can have a conversation about it. But to dump him just to dump him, I don't fully understand. I mean, it sounds like what we're saying is we need to have a patch temporarily while we look for the long-term future. My thought is that patch is Jair. He's that guy until we can find replacements. Now, if you want to say, well, I'm projecting he's going to be hurt all the time, even though I don't know that, but there's a good chance he will be, so I want somebody else. My only thing that I've been saying is you're going to end up getting rid of Jair. There's a good chance that he ends up staying healthy because that happens. There's no guarantee that people get, Saquon again. It's the one example because it's the most obvious one. I'm sure I can go back and find a lot more of guys that have had injury issues and then just played an entire season, no issues. And when he's healthy, he's a very good football player. And if he is healthy next year, we're going to be looking at some 31-year-old guy that we brought in to patch while we hopefully find somebody in the draft. But, again, if you draft 3 times, you're hoping that one of them is pretty good. If even one of them is as good as Jair, that's an incredible find, assuming he's healthy, because who knows? Sometimes we got injuries all over our rookie class this year. So I don't know. I don't see the need to move Jair. I know it's just kind of a hypothetical thought experiment, but we all agree we need to invest in corner. We've been saying that long before even Jair was hurt. Jair needed help. And so I still see that as we need to get better corners next to Jair, and then also understand that Jair's time here is going to be somewhat limited. Even if he's completely healthy next year, he's going to be 28 years old, and his body doesn't seem to be the kind of guy that's going to be playing at 32, 33, 34. Most corners don't. So, yeah, I mean, we're all in agreement. We got to go get corner. I don't see the need to really shift things up unless something great comes along. But again, no matter what it is, keep Jair. Well, what if somebody awesome comes along in free agency and all that? So go get him and keep Jair. Well, what if we can't afford it? We can afford him. We actually have a pretty solid financial situation. Keep Jair and go get the other guy and draft corners. Why? Because let's say we get a Xavier McKinney type corner. That guy's a long-term investment. That's awesome. Okay. Then we have Jair. Those are our 2 corners. We still need a third for sure. So even if we hit on one of them, boom, we got 3. And if we got to stick Jair in the slot, then we will. We probably won't, but if that's what we got to do, then we got to do it. I don't care that much about Keyshawn. I appreciate Keyshawn. I like Keyshawn. You're never going to convince me that this guy is like, we don't need anybody. We're good with Keyshawn. No, we're not. Keyshawn is a patchwork corner. He's there to kind of just hold it down a little bit until you can find somebody that's a lot better. So, I mean, yeah, I just don't understand getting rid of Jair. I don't. Well, he's not worth the money. Okay. I don't know. Again, we have to assume he's not going to play. You don't know that. I mean, again, we could have done that with Aaron Jones. Oh, well, he's not worth the contract because he's going to be out first of all, he only does 12 to 15 carries a game. So paying him as much as these guys taking 25 carries a game is already stupid. Plus, he's going to miss 3, 4, 5 games in a season. So it's like he plays, if you look at it from a snap count standpoint, he plays like 5 games a season. Why are we paying him so much? Nobody's going to make that argument because it's Aaron Jones and because he's good and because shut up. But I don't know. The Jair thing's a little bit different for whatever reason. All right, Craig, this is it. Take us all on home. As a reminder, it's going to be a long day tomorrow. Try not to call in until kickoff, or at least very close to kickoff, because I'll probably end up skipping it. So just a thought. Even if you want to comment on like the Bears game, just wait, because I don't want to. If the Bears won or something crazy, I want to talk about it. So just wait until kickoff and then sneak it in or something. Craig, get us out of here.
Hey, Ryan, this is Craig from Indiana.
Hey.
I was listening to the podcast, and I forget who it was, talked about, should we have it'd be cool if we had a PFF for referees. And I thought I remember that the referees who get to do the Super Bowl, one of the selection criteria is their performance evaluation. I asked the robot that question, and, how do they select the referees for Super Bowl? Their response is it's a multi-step process, but number one was performance evaluation.
Sure.
The referees are evaluated throughout the regular season based on their performance in games. This includes metrics like accuracy in calls, game management skills, overall consistency. Then number two is experience and reputation. Number three, there's a selection committee. And four, there's been a final decision made by the senior vice president of officiating. And then there's a diversity and inclusion element to it as well. But the number one thing was performance evaluation. And I thought I'd remember that. Now, obviously, that's not something they're making public. I don't think they ever will, but there is someone who's looking at
they got it out there
how
somewhere.
well the referees do throughout the season, and that is an element of rewarding them for the Super Bowl. So, and you might have known that before, but so there is someone who's looking at it. Unfortunately, they're just not going to ever probably make that public, although it would be nice if they would. But most employees' evaluations or performance evaluations are kept private by any other company, so I guess that would make sense that they do that as well. But just an FYI. And then the last thing is, again, Matt continues to say he's going to rotate Stokes in and out, and I guess I don't understand that given how poorly he's been playing, and I don't see us signing him next year. So why wouldn't you give someone who's going to be on the team more reps and experience and everything else? But so any thoughts you might have on Eric Stokes and his rotation continuing to play even with his pretty poor performance? All right. Hoping the Packers go to the Seahawks. I'm a little nervous with Jair being out, but hopefully the other guys can step up and we can just score a lot of points. Go Pack-Up.
Well, let me further talk about the referee thing. I think it's an awesome project that like I said, I'm not going to do. But, I mean, if there was somebody serious about it, I would love to help in some kind of a capacity to make that a thing. I'm not going to be doing any of the grading type stuff or whatever, but like if there's going to be like a website component, or if we're going to put together criteria or any kind of stuff on the side to help just get it up and running, and then I just hand it to you, I would love to be a part of that in some kind of a way, but I'm not doing it is the only thing. But yeah, if somebody's like, no, I legitimately want to start that, let's do it, dude. Let's freaking do it. Let's do it. I love that stuff. I like starting stuff. I hate calling myself entrepreneurial because although I think my mind is wired that way, I tend to think that, entrepreneurial people are people that are successful in entrepreneurial endeavors. And really, aside from this podcast, I've not been able to hit on anything. So, and then as far as what the heck was the next thing? Oh, the Stokes. So it's a big issue for a lot of people that I've noticed. I do understand the sentiment of just put your best people out there and stop screwing around. I don't fully understand the thought process behind it, just from a philosophical or whatever standpoint. Is it situational? Is it to kind of give guys rest to be able to rotate? Is it because you don't know? Is this kind of like your final audition for Stokes? Because my thought process is, who's the better one, and whoever's better should be playing, and that's it. Unless there's other situations, and I don't know what those are. I will say this, though, about the fan base, and that is I think Stokes is underrated. Not good. I'm not saying he's good. But even as bad as he is, fans think he's worse than that. And Valentine is overrated. I think they're very similar. In fact, PFF has them almost identical in terms of their grades. One is like a 61, one is like a 59. And I think from a fan standpoint, Valentine's more like a 70, and Stokes is like a 20. And I don't think that's true. That doesn't really dismiss the main point of like, but why are you doing it? If Valentine's better, let Valentine play. And again, maybe it's situational, but why would you rotate in a game? So the only thing I could think is we're rotating the same way we rotate a lot of other positions, edge and whatnot. And it could, it could be situational. If it's 3rd and 15, maybe you want Stokes out there. He's got a little bit more range. He's a little bit faster. If somebody's running a go route, he can run with them. Maybe, stuff like that. I'm saying random stuff, but I'm just trying to think of reasons why. But I have to assume at its core, they don't see a huge gap between Valentine and Stokes the way the fan base does. And I'll just say PFF agrees. Regardless of whether I do or anybody else does, that's kind of where they stand on it. And I'm guessing the Packers are in a similar way where they don't want to bench a first-round player because you've got this, 7th round player that is marginally better. I think if given the opportunity, they want to have somebody with the skill set. I shouldn't say skill set, the athletic ability of a guy like Stokes, especially when you know that he's probably going to get cut. You want to give him every opportunity to turn that corner, as he's kind of had a bad hand. Again, he had a really solid rookie season as for a rookie. Then he got hurt. Then he came back from injury, wasn't very good. So this is kind of like the first year of like, okay, can you do it? But it's like at the same time, he's in a rotation, and he's kind of been away from football for a long time. And you want to cut him some slack. And I understand saying like that this is, sometimes you give a guy 3 years to evaluate. He's had like a year and a half, or you can call it 2 years, I guess now. I don't know. I maybe that plays into it. I mean, the coach shouldn't have to care about that. That's more of a GM thing, and I don't think the GM is going to tell the coaches what to do. But yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing I could really think honestly, and I don't think the fans would accept that answer. But that would be my guess. Is that I don't think Matt LaFleur or Hafley see that big of a difference between the two. And so they just see it as a rotation, especially when you got a lot of injuries. Like they both have to play today because Jair is not playing. So it's good that you're not just picking a guy off the bench that hasn't played. Stokes plays all the time. I mean, it's like, so who's the non-starter that's going to play because of the injuries? We don't have one because we rotate our corners, so they're all kind of starters. They all play. That's all I got for you. I don't know. I mean, I'm not as upset about it as a lot of people because I tend to trust PFF, and the fact that the Packers are doing it leads me to believe that they agree with PFF, that they're very not similar in terms of play style, but similar in terms of effectiveness so far this year. So, something to keep an eye on though moving forward. And I haven't super looked into Stokes. I know it hasn't been great. I saw some stats. I'm sure you guys have seen them too about how he doesn't have a pass breakup like ever or something. It's the most unbelievable stat you've ever heard or whatever. It's just not forget interceptions, like pass breakups. Like he just doesn't ever get his hand on it. And when you think about, I mean, Stokes, I haven't hardly seen Stokes in a long time, which is typically a good thing for a corner. But I do remember Stokes, like when he was trying to track people down, he never get his head around. He was kind of a guy that panics. He's just running and flailing his arms all over, and it's like it's really hard to ever get an interception if you don't have that confidence to be stride for stride and know when to turn your shoulder, when to turn your head, and then I mean, there's got to be a lot of confidence and that kind of stuff. And I don't feel Stokes has it. He seems very panicky to me. That's why he ends up slipping and falling all over the place. He just, I don't know. Would have been nice if Stokes could have been a thing. I just don't think it's going to be a thing. But again, I'm not super worried about it. And especially this week, he has to play. So, all right, folks. Well, that was actually perfect timing. We're sitting at about an hour. I appreciate all the calls. And hopefully the Packers have themselves a really good game. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.